Hello, scholars, and welcome to POL450 Research Methods for Political Science. I'm Brian Gazette, and I'll be your professor for this course for the next 8 weeks, and I look forward to our time together. This is going to be our week 1 video, and you're going to have videos very similar to this each week. I release the video at the beginning of each week, typically on Sunday night or Monday morning, and I work through what each week is, what we have new in store for us for that week, review what possibly we had issues with last week or things that came up during our discussions or our homework assignments, and look forward to the weeks to come. But the intent of each week is to go over the information in detail so that you are prepared for the week ahead of you. So I recommend always to watch these videos. I try to keep them about 10-15 minutes. This one will be a little bit longer because we're going to go on a little bit overview of the entire course. But to watch the video before you jump into your assignments, because often there's all the valuable information that you're going to need for the week comes in this video. So to begin with, this is research methods. So the intent of this is for you to figure out and to learn all about a research assignment and formal research methods that one would use in political science. Don't get confused though that this is a course that's involving writing a research paper like one that you have done in many of your courses prior. In this course, we are talking about a formal research study, not a research paper, and that's critical. We are going to look and we're going to study and we are actually going to create a research study. And that is the ultimate or the conclusion of this class, is that we are going to create a prospectus. Now, a typical research study consists of 5 chapters. It has the first chapter, which is the introduction, the second chapter, which is a review of literature relevant to the study. The third is the research methods that you're going to use to conduct your study. The fourth is the findings, and then the fifth is discussion and recommendations. And oftentimes when you hear of your professors that have wrote a dissertation and defended a dissertation, they're all alike for the most part, and almost all of them consist of those 5 chapters with various different topics that they researched. For our prospectus, we are going to do the first 3 chapters. It is the introduction. That's chapter 1. Our second chapter is going to be a lit review, which we're going to use instead and replace that with an annotated bibliography. And the fourth is going to be the research methods or the methodologies, and you're going to describe. Now, this is where this course is so much different, and I hope that you are able to pick up on this piece and listen to this carefully. This course is so much different than all of the other, or many of the other courses that you've taken, in the fact that in this course, we are going to build our prospectus each week. So each week you're going to build a piece of it, a building block. And at the end, you're just going to put all those pieces together, and that's your critical assignment, is the prospectus. So each week you build a part, you bring those all together, and you ultimately have your final assignment. Now that's a little bit different than some of your other courses, where you learn each week, and ultimately at the end you put all that knowledge together and you write a 10-page paper, for an example. With this course, you put all the work on the front side, you build all the pieces, and the critical assignment is nothing more than putting those pieces together. So it's slightly different. But it also differs in the fact that the work is on the front side. So we put a bunch of effort, or we're going to put a lot of work into each week to ensure that we have the pieces correct and accurate and they actually are relevant, so that when we put them together at the end, it's nice, it's concise, and it actually makes that prospectus. The first 3 chapters of you describing the research. Now, understand that we are not actually going to do this research. So there is a level of hypothetical that we're going to have for this, as if you were going to put on this or do this research. We're not actually going to do the research, but we're going to do everything but do it. So let me do a quick breakdown of the 8 weeks, and maybe this might help you. So in this week, we are going to just get an introduction to what research, and we're going to really start with the basic premise or the foundation of creating a research topic and working through that. The second week, we're going to dive into the IRB guidelines. the Institutional Review Board, which is this entity that makes sure that your research is legal, is ethical, that the individuals that you are researching aren't being harmed, that the information that you're finding isn't going to have any adverse actions or effects. We're going to talk about some ethical dilemmas. So once again, week 1 and week 2 are the building blocks. Then in week 3, we're actually going to write the research question. This question is going to be very straightforward, and it's going to be written in a sentence format or a question format. And that is going to be so important because your entire study is going to be built upon that question. That is going to be a big section of your first chapter. So by week 3, we have our research question. In week 4, we're going to determine how we can measure that research question, how we can actually ask that to people and measure it. Week 5, we're actually going to write survey questions that we could submit to people in order to ask them how to answer our research question. All of that is still building upon these various chapters. In week 6, we're going to then analyze our data, or we're going to talk about how we would analyze our data. And then in week 7, we're going to put all those pieces together, and we're going to put together a rough draft for our prospectus. And in week 8, all those pieces come together. So you can see that they're literally building blocks. Each week, the building blocks build upon one another. And ultimately, at the end of this course, we just put them together. Now, I know that for many of you, you have never have ever seen, maybe read an actual prospectus. So rest assured, I'm going to give you an example of what a prospectus looks like. I'm going to give you a detailed outline of the different various chapters that you're going to have to write for this prospectus. And I'm even going to give you an example of previous students writing. So you can get an excellent, put all those pieces together, apply them to your study. And ultimately at the end, I want you to have a good working knowledge of what a formal research and what a formal research paper and what the formal research process is all made up of. But that's the overview of this course. Now let's dive into week 1. So here we are looking at Blackboard from my view, and we have our week 1 agenda. And as you can see, we got some reading out of our text, and it's chapters 1 and 3. There's some PowerPoints. That is an introduction to research methods. And we have one on the literature review. A little bit on APA formatting. There's a video on how to research topics. There's a PowerPoint lecture on annotated bibliography and what that's made up of. Then we have 3 assignments this week, 3 deliverables. A written assignment number 1, an application exercise number 1, and our week 1 journal. And I'll go through each one of those in detail. So to start with, there's the syllabus video that I added this morning. I just take the time and look through the syllabus video. Once again, 15 minutes, clearly details the important elements of this. If you have any questions about the course, it's all outlined in the syllabus, and then I walk you through the syllabus. So take time, especially when it comes to due dates and late assignments, because that is a critical part of this course, is to being timely and turning your assignments in on time. Because once again, like we talked earlier, you really need to keep up with the pace of this course. It's not a ton of workload, but we need to do a workload each week because as I explained how the building blocks, you can't jump a block and expect that it's going to work. So every week we need to put in the time and effort, and most of that's all explained in the syllabus video. So then there is a series of PowerPoint lectures that's included. There's one on the Intro to Research Methods that really just comes straight out of the book. There's the second, which is the research perspectives, that gives you an idea of what a research perspective is all about. The next is a literature review, and it explains what a literature review, and then remember, we are going to use an annotated bibliography. So what's important is as you go through these various PowerPoints and they read through them, you're going to find that they highlight a lot of the information which is also in the book. So I always recommend viewing the PowerPoints, reading, and then viewing the PowerPoints again. I think that's an excellent way to absorb. If you see something 3 times, you're actually going to retain it, and that must be something also that's critical enough if we've talked about it 3 times. But remember, once again, building blocks. So Intro to Research Methods, the prospectus, And then that literature review, that's that second chapter I talked about. We're not going to do a literature review. We're going to replace it with an annotated bibliography. And what an annotated bibliography is it's nothing different than any of the academic journals, books, articles that you have come upon or that you've researched, that you are utilizing for your research project. Those are the references. Those are the works that we're going to cite. You're just going to keep track of those. And then for each one of those, like let's give you an example that you have a textbook that you found that has some good information that's relevant to your topic. You are going to do an APA formatted citation, and then you're going to write a paragraph or so about that article, what it's about, summarizing it, and why it applies to your study. And we're going to have 15 of those for our annotated bibliography. And remember, that's the second chapter. So that's 33% of your work is just keeping track of those references. So as we go through the process, any sources that you come across that you believe that you're researching, you find a great article, found a great book that's relevant to it, keep track of all those because that is going to be your annotated bibliography. And that is an assignment that is going to be due in week 6. So you can see even with that assignment, one of the larger assignments, if you just keep track of this through the course, you're going to be fine. I got a video in here, a great short video from Dr. Davis that gives you a good explanation of how to narrow a research topic. It sounds how can I phrase this? The easiest assignment in this course is going to be writing a research question. It's literally one sentence, but it is going to be the most difficult portion because if you write a good research question, it'll carry through the rest of this course and be such a valuable tool. And to actually get a question that revolves around political science, that is measurable, that already hasn't been asked, are going to be some of those keys that we work with, and that's going to be much of week 3. So for your first assignment is written assignment number 1. Now, we are on an academic calendar that goes Monday through Sunday, so this assignment is going to be due Sunday, July 5th at 11:59. In order to get credit, it needs to be turned in by that date. You have 1 week to put that assignment in, and I'm very clear on my late assignment or the acceptance of late assignment, and that is reviewed. It's stated in the syllabus and reviewed in the syllabus video. So just ensure that you stay on top of your work. You have an entire week to get these assignments in, and everything needs to be in by the due date. So before you can begin your final project, you need to select a suitable topic for research. Your topic needs to be theory-based, researchable, and relevant to some aspect of political science. You will probably find this assignment more difficult than most of the others. However, time spent choosing your topic and its basis in theory will make your week 3 assignment much easier. The purpose of this assignment is to help you review a number of potential topics relevant to political science and become familiar with a range of literature that you help you with as you later write assignments in this course. So your assignment has the following structure. Select 5 possible topics of interest and do a preliminary search on each of them. Next week, I will ask you to select one of them for your research prospectus. So try to find something that you can sustain your interest for the duration of the course and write a short paragraph on each of these potential topics that defines the concept you would research and why it is an important topic in political science. So the grading criteria, submission integrates all required components. There's 15 points, and it is written at a college level, exhibiting writing skills through correct grammar, spelling, APA citations, and references. There's 10 additional points. So what I'm asking you, find 5 topics of interest. Now remember, these are going to be research questions. Now, they also need to be manageable. So questions like, creating, if we talk about some of the hot topics now, where it is like solving homelessness, that's not a question. That's a wicked problem. That's so difficult to answer. You want to oftentimes narrow it down. Something, you're going to find that in this course, we reference a lot of this, the drought, especially that was the hot topic just a couple years ago. And when there was like water restrictions, Did water restrictions result in a reduction of water use? That's a topic of potential, and as you can see, that is in a question format. So it could be the grander topic could be, does water conservation work, and then it could be narrowed down to, when restrictions were put in, did water users actually reduce water consumption? Those are just an example. What I always recommend at this point is for each of you, you either work in a field you have knowledge of, you have expertise in, you have passion for a certain topic. And I always recommend people to write on stuff that they're passionate about. Oftentimes, you're very knowledgeable on the things you're passionate about. You actually care about these things, and it will always make for enjoyable research, accurate research, and something that you actually can build upon. So I always recommend that. But some quick Google searches, you can look at some prior, what a prospectus is, what a research question is, hot topics in research, and submit questions, 3 or 5 topics. And then we'll take those 5 topics in next week, and I'll review each of them, give you some feedback, and then which of those I feel is realistic, is good, is great, needs work, how it can be reformatted, and then we'll structure that at the end of after you submit those. The next assignment we have is our application exercise. And remember, application exercises, those are more or less quizzes, just a fancy word for quiz. So what we're doing is we're applying the reading. That's where we get that application. So we're applying the reading to a quiz each week. So the application assignments often revolve around the reading or the PowerPoint lectures. And this one's all about APA. It's a review of APA, and we're going to do our APA formatting and review it. Now, the quizzes assesses your understanding of the APA formatting system. You should be able to find the information easily using the APA manual or online at the website given in the PowerPoint lecture. There is no time limit, but once it is open, you must be completed. And do not try to save your work and come back later. The quiz may be repeated one time for a higher score if you wish. So you get to take the quiz, you get the feedback of what you missed, and you can retake it one more time. But use some time management. Once you start it, you have to finish it in one setting. So that's your application exercise. And once again, the due date, like all of our assignments in this class, are due Sunday at 11:59. So July 5th at 11:59 is when this is going to be due. And finally, our journal exercise. Now, remember, a journal is a little bit different than a discussion board. A journal exercise is one-on-one conversation, excuse me, as if you came up to me and you were talking to me one-on-one. So these are oftentimes considered informal writing, where our other academic writing is formal. So consider that this is going to be an informal paper that you are going to be writing to me to discuss one-on-one. And what I'm asking you is please respond to each of the prompts below. Your response to each of the prompts should be should have substance and demonstrate your writing skills appropriate for a 4th-year college course. The questions I ask you is, what skills and knowledge from previous courses do I have that should be helpful in a course on research methods in political science? Be specific in answering your questions. How much time do I plan to allocate to this course every week? And what do I most want to learn in this course? The grading scale, journal reflections respond to all of the instructor's prompts, 15 points, and they exhibit college level writing skills through correct grammar and spelling, 10. Now, when I ask you to write at a 4th-year academic level of college and to use college level writing, I expect detail. So I know that this is a quick assignment. I know that we are all busy adults, but I actually want to have a conversation with you, and that's the expectation. So not just one sentence, go into detail on each one of these questions. I would say that this is probably a 1-page paper that you would need to write at around a page, but just show that answer each question in detail, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for effort, and I also expect that you to write at an academic level that all of us here at CBU in our online and professional studies would consider to be a standard. And that's week 1. Like always, and I'll close out with all these week, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, issues, please reach out to me. I'm like every one of you. I have a device in my pocket that every time you email me, it beeps. That's just the world we live in. I also realize that being an online student, that feedback is critical and that you want your questions answered. So to hopefully alleviate that, I make videos for you every week to try to answer your questions. But if you have any issues, email me. I don't believe that there's a question or a problem that's out there that we can't solve, but I can't solve any of the problems that you don't ask and you don't reach out. And that kind of piggybacks right on to the late work assignment. If you have issues in your life, I know that these are unprecedented times. My main job is I work for the fire department, and I am very deep in the COVID issue and all of the restrictions and life changes and day to day and sickness and closures and stress that it has impacted on all of us. And I understand. But I also understand that we are all adult learners and that we are in the online and professional studies for a reason, and we all live around deadlines. So meet your deadlines, but if you do have an issue, reach out. I don't believe there's anything we can't deal with if you reach out, but we can't deal with anything if you don't reach out. And that's just a critical portion for me and just a critical life lesson as we move forward in our professional and academic careers. So with that being said, I really look forward to our next 8 weeks. This is a great class. It's one of my favorite classes because we actually build something of substance. We build a project. We go from nothing, we build a question, and ultimately becomes this larger paper, this prospectus, and it's an exciting thing for me to be a part of and to see how each one of these evolve. So I hope that we all have a great, blessed week. I'll keep you in my thoughts and prayers. I just hope that all of you stay safe, especially in these very unprecedented times. Just be healthy, be wise, be smart with your actions. Know that I'm here for you if you have any questions, and I look forward to all of our assignments that you submit, getting back to you in our time together in this course. So take care, and I'll talk to you real soon.